see him in town or different events like this. We were together in Macon, Georgia, just last week, I guess, for an event, and so I kind of knew where he was from a personal standpoint. But still, at the end of the day, I asked him, I'm like, explain to me why you would really truly want to do this as well, and playing devil's advocate for him. Like, you're going to go back to doing this as an assistant. The head coach grind is a grind, and then the assistant coach grind is a grind, but in its own way too.
Yeah.
And just making sure he wanted to go back to that, and he did, and I understood the reasons why, and I know it was not easy for him to leave Georgia State, but he was coming back to South Carolina and a chance to work here with the great people here in Columbia.
So, not to get too much into your business, but when the position came open and you knew that he would be interested, was that your top target? I mean, it was like you had your eyes on him and that was going to get it done?
Yeah, it was a little bit of initially, he and I had some conversations right after the season just about short-term and long-term, what he was thinking, what I was thinking, right after the regular season ended. And then in this instance, I wouldn't say immediately. Justin left, whatever it was, in the last week, and had some conversations with some other people over the weekend, and I knew Justin Stepp was possibly leaving for about a week before it was announced. So over that week, I was talking to some people, and then after he left, I was talking to some people. So there were conversations that I had, but Sean and I's conversations really picked up steam, really just middle of this week, really cranked up, and I'm really cranked up here the last few days.
Mr. Clyde Wren giving us directions over here.
He tells me what to do. So some people think I'm in charge of the program in South Carolina. It's really Clyde Wren.
In this room, he's the man.
There's no doubt.
I mean, he's
the man in our football facility as well. He's unbelievable.
A couple more things before we let you go, because if I don't ask you, then something comes out, I'll kick myself. So anything to know that you can tell us that's maybe happened within the program, like any injuries that you can talk about, anybody having anything done medically?
No, nothing that I haven't already been asked before in a press conference. Nothing, knock on wood, nothing too crazy. And we'll have a media availability, I think, early next week to introduce Sean, so can talk about any updates at that point. But nothing new to report, and hopefully it stays that way through the weekend.
You feel like the staff that will coach this team in 2024 is now set?
I say that. I hope so. I feel like it is, but I was in the car last March, Phil. It was the day our spring break started, which was March, and I had an NFL team call me about one of our assistant coaches wanting to talk to him. And that was in March, So I like where we are right now. Feel like our staff is intact. I hope so, but you never say never. But I know this, our coaches that are here, they want to be here. And if anybody was entertaining leaving, it would be for an unbelievable opportunity somewhere else, because we got guys that want to be here at this point, and I'm excited about the direction that we're going right now.
All right, got to ask you a little personal question here. So when you were hired, black hair, how are you dealing with, I mean, you're turning a little white up there. I don't know if it's turning loose, but it's turning. How are you dealing with it at this stage?
I'm probably dealing with it better than maybe my hair looks. It's definitely more gray, and I got a picture in my office still of the press conference the day I got hired, and I look different. But transfer portal and NIL and coaching SEC football will do that to you. But feel great, and love what I'm doing. Love who I'm doing it with. We've got a great group of kids in our program right now. Great group of coaches and staff in our program, and excited about the direction that we're going right now.
Well, I want to say thank you for stopping by.
Yep.
Always making yourself available to us or anybody else in the media. Really appreciate it.
You bet.
And go enjoy yourself.
You got it. Thanks for all you do for South Carolina.
My thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. I've been wanting to ask that question for a long time. Shane Beamer. Yeah, if you go back, as we welcome Chris Bergen in, who he's got a little salt in that pepper.
Absolutely.
Been wanting to ask him that question for a long time, because if you go back and look at his picture the day he was introduced, he was jet black hair, and and now it's got a good bit of snow. I don't mean dandruff, We got a good bit of snow. All right, welcome in, everybody. We had to jump on that because the Gamecocks just arrived, and they're anxious to get in and meet with the high school coaches and shake hands and participate in the frivolity that's going on here. In just a moment, Coach Jimmy Noonan is going to join us. He's the head of the Football Coaches Association. But, Chris, welcome in. I'll let you update the baseball real quick if you would.
Well, first off, anytime that Coach Beamer or Coach Sweeney want to slide in off the bat, I'll be more than happy to sit back, relax, and enjoy the interview. That was great stuff by Coach. Glad he stopped by.
Yes.
Until you made fun of his hair, and we may never get him back.
Wasn't making fun. I was asking a serious question.
No, it is, and that's what coaching does to people.
Yeah.
All right, a couple of updates. They go to the bottom of the 8th inning over in Columbia. It's been a tight game. I think the Gamecocks getting a little more from Miami of Ohio than they would have liked, but Chris Veach came in the 7th inning, got out of the bases loaded, nobody out jammed with a pair of strikeouts, and USC leads 5-1 going to the bottom of the 8th. Meantime, at Doug Kingsmore, not nearly as competitive. Clemson up 12-2 on Xavier, bottom of the 6th inning. And over in Conway, I've told people throughout the offseason that the Coastal offense may score 20 runs a ball game. They've got 21 through 6 innings right now. And I'll ask you this question, Phil. Riley Eichhoff through 6 innings is throwing a no-hitter. How much longer do you leave him out there? In game 1 of the season, he's thrown 71 pitches.
I don't think you can, right? I think maybe you go 7 and get a staff no-hitter if you can. I don't think you're letting him.
Right.
You're not going to throw. Boy, you'll be of course, what does Coach Gilmore care? This is last season, right? Roast me if you want.
In the back of his mind, in game 1 of the regional last year in Conway, he had a pitcher, Liam Doyle, who was throwing a no-hitter through 6 innings, took him out. They ultimately lose that ball game. Now, they're not going to lose a 21-0 lead. I mean, it was much tighter in the regional. But, I think you do a disservice to your pitching staff if you run a guy out and have him pitch all 9 innings, 100-plus pitches in game 1 of the season. Yeah,
I agree. Okay. Thank you. We'll get into other things in a little bit. We're going to talk basketball, of course. We'll have recruiting. Mike Morgan at 6:35. George Bryan at 7:35 with special guest Kerry Tharp. Kerry putting his hands on golf clubs after steering wheels all those years at Darlington. But let's find out more about the clinic. We welcome in the director of the South Carolina Football Coaches Association, Coach Jimmy Noonan, to Sports Talk once again. How are you?
Bill, doing wonderful.
You're following
me back.
You're following Shane Beamer.
Well,
tough act.
That's quite okay. It's a good one to follow.
It was quite the buzz that came in with the Gamecock coaches when they arrived in mass just a few moments ago.
Well, they demand a lot of attention, and Clemson coaches earlier in the day.
Yep.
They're obviously big, largest state universities and most prominent football programs. But if you're a young coach and those folks roll in, you step aside and you're in awe.
Yeah.
And remember those days. Not seemed like yesterday, but of course that's 30 years ago.
But you got to love it. The association, you got to love it that the college coaches, and I saw Coach Beck is here and the Coastal guys are here in force, and I've seen other coaches. You got to love the fact that they're coming out to talk with these guys, share some insight, information, teaching, clinicking, as they say. That's got to be a big boost for it.
It is, and it's one big fraternity. It really is. Being a coach and being called coach, it means an awful lot. And we rely on each other. We rely on the folks at the upper level for knowledge, and we're gracious to them, and that they'll take out of their time to come and speak to us, help keep us on top of the ball game. It's something that they do from the start of the day to the end of the day, where high school coaches, we've got the main job is to educate kids. And our second job is to coach football.
Yeah.
But it enables us to stay on top of the ball game, and they rely on us to keep sending them kids, good, solid recruits, and the more prominent programs, obviously, are successful programs, are able to, they get their knowledge from these guys. So it's a relationship that we got to keep going, and we think that they're come down for us. I mean, these clinics we've expanded into December as well in association with the North-South Week. That is our association's game, and we've expanded that week. And of course, we've always done this February clinic, and this is some 45 years going strong.
I was telling Coach Beamer because he wasn't aware. I mean, I think I was there maybe 40 years ago, 30-something years ago, and The clinic was on a Saturday, and it was in the locker room at USC. And they would meet in the morning, have hot dogs for lunch, and then meet again in the afternoon. I mean, that was all it was in the locker room at USC. And of course, it's just blown up since then to what we have today.
I can't say I was there at that point.
Coach Roscoe was there.
He was.
Yeah.
Coach Roscoe helped start the association, and the model is from area states and their associations. But typically Texas, what we do, and most everybody else, is we follow the Texas model. And, as a matter of fact, Coach Beck and his crew, a lot of those coaches came from Texas.
So what will the typical, just say I'm a defensive line coach at good old Latta High School. They wouldn't hire me, but just say I was. What could the typical high school coach learn this weekend at this clinic? What should they expect to take away?
Well, Brian Smith is our clinic director. We farm out the responsibilities in our association. It's all volunteer. And Brian does a great job of balancing the speakers. We have a handful of offense, handful of defense. And we try to have an offensive speaker going at the same time we have a defensive speaker. And I guess over the course of a weekend, we'll specialize into each of the position groups. Defensively, obviously, the linebacker play, overall philosophy. We'll have defensive back play. And we make sure we hit all those check marks before the weekend's out. And, in special teams as well. We'll check them all off.
And the college head coaches that come in and their assistant coaches, the interaction between them and these high school coaches, I mean, that's invaluable really both ways. I mean, we know what the college coaches are looking for. They want relationships leading to players, and the high school coaches, they're looking for knowledge and maybe some contact that could help them down the road.
Oh, absolutely. It's a networking atmosphere as well. But more importantly, like you said, it's the relationships that just keep going strong. And, of course, it's the coaching carousel as it happens from December to February before spring practices crank up. There are opportunities that exist, and they only come from the relationships and obviously rapport. And folks are able to stay on top of the game and they're successful in what they do.
Yeah. Visiting with Jimmy Noonan for a couple more moments. Let me ask you about a couple of issues, high school football, maybe nationally or pertinent to South Carolina. So, as you know, things are happening crazily in football, and it's going to trickle down to the high school level, NIL type opportunities. I don't know that we have that in South Carolina yet, but it is happening in other states. I want to get your thoughts on that, and if that's an issue to you in your opinion, and also the realignment and what the high school league has done to maybe kind of level the playing field with some of the private and charter schools. And do you think did the realignment achieve what they are hoping it was going to achieve with the multiplier?
Well, I think time will tell. And we used models from other states. And I know that our high school league used models from other states, and they were introduced the proper way through the proper way through our Constitution. Time will tell. It's only speculation at this point, but the goal once again is to level the playing field, and we'll just have to see on that end. But our association, we do field these scenarios. NIL is a hot topic, and it is trickling down into high school. And how we will deal it, we don't know. We hope to hear a little bit more from Coach Early tomorrow. He's coming to the conference, and he'll speak just a little bit. But that is something that we'll have to address as time moves on.
Okay. Well, we thank you for spending time with us. I know you got a little party getting ready to take place in there, some awards you're going to hand out. And oh, by the way, when will the coaching staffs for the Touchstone Energy Bowl North-South be announced?
When the regions and the classifications are finalized, and that will be held at the AD clinic next month, mid-March. Nothing's really finalized until that time.
Okay.
We would love to be able to announce those here at our conference. And of course, the Shrine Bowl staff has been announced. That we'll introduce those to the body tomorrow so that they can go ahead and get started on potential nominations and sharing film. Our Combine Series will begin next month in March as well. It is the Carolina Combine Series through our Coaches Association. And that is specifically for the Shrine Bowl coaches and the North-South coaches to evaluate kids, or the rising seniors for next year. And they'll go ahead and start making their short lists as early as this coming month. So it's important for all our young folks out there, especially these rising seniors, to make sure they're going to these combines. But that process is that's here in the off season. It's rocking and rolling.
Really, there is no off season.
No, there's not. No,
not with football, not with any sport for that matter. If you're a great basketball player, you go right from your high school season to your grassroots participation to whatever. And same thing with baseball. I mean, there's no stop in any of the other sports.
There's not. Now, I guess you could get your stress meter out, and either it's high stress time or it's a low stress time.
Yeah.
But it's always rolling for sure.
Well, it looks like everybody's having a great time. That's a great crowd. You can tell when people are enjoying themselves because they're just not leaving. They're just lingering and talking and meeting these coaches. Thank you for coming over.
Yes, sir.
Great seeing you. Enjoy the weekend.
Yes, sir.
Good seeing you. Coach Jimmy Noonan, the director of the South Carolina Football Coaches Association. We thank him very much. Have known him a long time. Out of Sumter High School, fullback, went to the Citadel, was quite good till a guy named Everett Sands came along, took his job. He was telling me. He said he took his job. Okay, well, that's a heck of a start to this show. And I see Coastal's tacked on a couple of more runs.
They're up 23-0. And to answer our earlier question, they have pulled Riley Eichhoff after 6 no-hit innings.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
I think so.
The College of Charleston, one score we didn't update, they're in front 12-0 on Marshall, hosting Marshall this weekend. So good start for the college as they stretch down at Patriots Point.
And you mentioned South Carolina, bottom of the 8th. The Gamecocks are up 5-1. I think Clemson's hit a couple of grand slams in their game.
So, yep. Mm-hmm.
And they're up 12-2 over Xavier, so they're doing what they should be doing. While I have a moment, let me take a look at various stats here and see who's done what for South Carolina. Offensively, the Gamecocks so far in this one, they only have 6 hits. So it's not like they're ripping the cover off the ball. And no home runs for the Gamecocks. Jones went 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. He struck out 5. Copper followed, and now Veach has pitched a couple of innings. So he has come in. Clemson, as far as some of their numbers, some of their stats, Canarella has a 3-for-4 day going with 3 runs batted in. Mathis has one of those grand slams, and the other went to Naraki, and he's 2-for-4. Got to learn those names, Mathis and Naraki. Grand slams for the Tigers. Pitching-wise, Barlow started. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, neither earned. He struck out 2. Titsworth has come on. He's pitched the last 2 innings. He's given up 2 hits. And did you touch on any of the particulars with Coastal?
I did not, outside of Eichhoff's no-hitter. I mean, they've hit several grand slams. I think Coastal has in their game. This is a scary offense, especially the middle portion that Killer Bees portion of their lineup has 6-7 RBIs apiece. Bender's got a home run. Beach has a home run. Books has a home run for Coastal. So, yeah, the ball flying out of Springsburg Stadium today.
Yeah, even
at least on the
hitter,
Coastal side.
even a pinch hitter they put in, Barango, another B. So they have 4 straight Bs: Barango, Bodine, Bender, and Beach.
Yeah.
The Killer Bees. And you mentioned Eichhoff, 6 innings, no hits, struck out 3, and Johnson is now on. Okay, we're going to catch our breaths, and we'll hit the break. And Mike Morgan, he can't top what we've done so far, but he can try. He's coming up after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy and mild tonight, the low is 53. Tomorrow, early showers possible without warming up much. The high just 59. Now, Sunday's the nicer day of the weekend. More Sunday as the day progresses. The high, though, just 54. Looking ahead, next week looks very pleasant. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Mush with your On Point local weather.
With SRN News, Keith Peters reporting authorities say 2 juveniles have been charged with crimes connected to the mass shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl rally. A news release from the Jackson County Family Court on Friday said the juveniles are being detained in the county's juvenile detention center on gun-related and resisting arrest charges. The release said additional charges are expected as the investigation continues. Donald Trump suffered a big blow Friday as a New York judge ordered the former president and his companies to pay $355 million in penalties for what the judge described as a scheme to deceive banks and insurers by exaggerating his wealth on his annual financial statements. The stunning ruling adds to Trump's legal woes as he prepares to defend himself at trial against criminal charges in 4 cases, while also vying for the Republican presidential primary nomination. More details at srnnews.com.
I've learned a lot in my years doing this, but I've never had my eyes opened wider than when I met the folks from Broker Solar and went to see their job sites. Everything I thought about solar power, well, I was wrong about. Now I'm on board 100% as long as it's done right. Don't let the media, don't let the politicians guilt you about solar power. You want solar because it actually will save you money and give you some power literally and figuratively at the same time. It's amazing technology. What a great way to get rid of your monthly power bill. No more power outages. Instead of having to buy a generator, you just rely on solar batteries from Broker Solar. Listen, I'm sick of having politicians tell me about green this, green that, but solar technology has advanced so much. So if you want to learn more, why don't you call the folks over at Broker Solar? This isn't some national thing. They are local. They're located right in Lexington. In fact, I've known the owner's family for many, many years. They are great. Online, it's brokersolar.com or call them 807-7417. That's 807-7417 for Broker Solar.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Have you always wanted to hit Lake Murray at your own convenience? To own your own piece of freedom? A beautiful crest pontoon or sea hunt center console? If you're ready to hit the water, your first stop should be Marine 360 on Johnson Marina Road. Scott and Brandon are great guys. They're local. They've been taking phenomenal care of folks around here since 2007. If you want a first-hand look, visit the Marine 360 display over at the Columbia Boat Show from the 16th through the 18th. You can get major boat show discounts with manufacturers' incentives, plus great rebates on remaining 2023 models. If you can't make the boat show, that's all right. Marine 360 is right on the lake. Visit the showroom, get a demo, see the best looking boats on the lake. You've been telling yourself for a long time you wanted to hit the water with your own boat. Well, now is the time. The selection is huge, so are the discounts. Online, it's marine360sc.com or give Scott and Brandon and their team a call, 749-2360 to make an appointment. And remember, find Marine 360 at the Columbia Boat Show at the State Fairgrounds from the 16th through the 18th.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're coming to you from the South Carolina Football Coaches Association annual clinic here in Myrtle Beach. If you're just joining us, we had Shane Beamer with us right off the top of the show as the Gamecock contingent arrived here. The Clemson coaches have been here throughout the afternoon as well. It was Beamer's first opportunity to talk with anybody publicly about his new hire of Sean Elliott from Georgia State to be his tight ends coach and work some with the offensive line, but coordinate the running game. If you missed that interview, we'll have it up on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, not long after we sign off tonight. So a lot going on here. College baseball happening all across the country. South Carolina 5-1, top of the ninth over Miami of Ohio. Clemson after 7, 12-2 over Xavier. Coastal Carolina 23-0 over George Mason. Runners on first and second. They're in the bottom of the seventh. And the Chanticleers, their pitchers still have not given up a hit. So they've got a staff no-hitter going at this point. And we'll update other baseball as well. Right now, though, it is time for this week's edition of Morgan on the Move, starring Mike Morgan here on Sports Talk, brought to you by State Farm agent Gary Patterson. For 35 years, Gary's been serving the real estate needs from Lugoff to Lexington, Columbia to Blythewood. Your auto, home, life insurance, and business insurance can all be handled by Gary. When he isn't refereeing ACC football, he's spending countless hours helping South Carolinians with all their insurance needs and making a difference in the community. Go check out GaryPatterson.net today, and Gary will go over the best plans for you and your family. That's GaryPatterson.net.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. No hassles, no all-day runarounds, no ridiculous add-on stickers. At Love Chevy, buying a car is fun. South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Find new roads.
Mike Morgan joining us now here on Sports Talk. We've got so much going on. I know when baseball season opens up, Mike, and welcome, by the way. It's great to have you with us. I know when baseball season opens up, maybe a little bit of hair on the back of your neck, they go up because of your love for baseball and the excitement of having college baseball back?
Yeah, I mean, it's always an exciting time. I will avoid the college season starts way too early soapbox, but it remains to be true. I'm glad the weather cooperated in South Carolina today. I hope it does for everybody the next couple of days this weekend. But no, it's an exciting time. The other reason I wish it would start later is obviously, I mean, it's running counter to basketball and the most exciting time of the basketball season. And obviously, you know, in your state, you've got two programs having breakout years. And so why compete when you don't have to? But you know, it's a story for another time. It's always exciting. Got my eye on that. I got my eye on the Braves. You know, they're down there in Florida for spring training. So yeah, always a fun time.
All right. So I went to Auburn Wednesday night for South Carolina Auburn, and it was all Auburn. And it really wasn't the case where the jungle was that much of a factor. I mean, the place was filled, but they weren't crazy over the top like they're going to be tomorrow night with Kentucky there. But Auburn just played lights out. They shot the ball lights out. It was not the typical South Carolina team we'd seen during that 7-game winning streak. I think Auburn just took them out of their game early in South Carolina and never really got a feel for it.
Yeah, I've said this for a while that every team in a league like the SEC this year, you get one mulligan. That's your mulligan.
Yeah.
Nothing went right from the tip on. And really, if you look at this team, they've only had one bad half all year before this. When I say bad, I mean really bad. And that was the second half against Alabama. This obviously was two bad halves. That's your mulligan game. I would have no doubt that they will be back in better form Saturday against LSU. There's still a lot of very winnable games on the schedule. I've seen really good teams. I mean, that same Auburn team was coming off two games. They beat Alabama, then they go to Gainesville and got smoked. And then they go back home and they beat Carolina by 40. So, I mean, that's just sometimes the roller coaster that teams ride.
Well, picking up the pieces is something they'll have to do in a hurry with this LSU team coming in. I know you've seen LSU. They're not having a real good year this year. What has been the primary issue for them this season, or has it been a multitude of things?
I just think in a year like this, they're just a little bit short on the talent. I like some of their players. I like Jalen Cook, the point guard, although he's been kind of erratic. But they just don't have the firepower. I mean, when you look at the 9 teams right now that are slated to be in the NCAA tournament from this conference, they are really good teams. Like they just are.
No.
And so it's not like LSU or, for example, I've got Georgia, Florida tomorrow in Athens. Georgia's not a bad team. Heck, they beat Carolina and Columbia. In another year, 5 years ago, when this league was down, LSU might finish, 11-7. But in a year like this, where it's just unforgiving, and so they've been humbled a bit. So they're not bad. They're just not as talented as the teams right now, 1 through 9.
Mike Morgan on the move with us here tonight on Sports Talk. And Mike, I remember it was either last week or the week before. It may have been right after Carolina beat Kentucky. You said, look, Kentucky's still the most talented team in the SEC. So what's wrong with those guys? I mean, you watch them play and you just think with all the talent, as you pointed out, I agree with you. They are absolutely one of the most talented teams in the country. But for whatever reason, they just can't put it together on a consistent basis. What do you think is the problem? And Finn's curious about that as well, my dog.
Yeah, I heard that. Clearly, he's asking all the tough questions tonight, in between chewing on rawhides. No, I think the problem is with Kentucky. They're still immensely talented. I mean, you've got a handful of first-round picks on that roster. Now, they have been injured. They have been without their point guard, Wagner, quite a bit. And that's the key. When Wagner's not in there, they're a team that's got a lot of firepower, but they don't have a true leader, a true point guard, a guy that can take control, calm everybody down, basically be like a Talon Cooper. So he's back now. But their biggest problem is they don't defend anybody. It's unbelievable. They just don't play a lick of D. So they're the most talented team, but I would say Tennessee right now is the best team. Of course, Carolina will have them again in the rematch at the CLA. But, yeah, I just think Kentucky has to figure out, do they want to play and execute better on defense? Because at times they look lost on that end of the floor.
And then you watch Auburn and what they were able to do against Carolina, and they've done that to everybody at Neville Arena. They're an entirely different team at home. As Phil pointed out, do they feed off the crowd? Is that part of the reason they are so much better at home than they are on the road? Again, this is a team that, no offense, but Appalachian State beat in Boone earlier this season. So what is it about Auburn when they play at home that it doesn't translate for them away from home? It could prevent them, because I think they've got Elite Eight skills. But since they're not going to play the tournament at home, I don't know that they advance that far. FIFO agrees. Yeah, everybody's better at home, right? But there's certain home court advantages that are distinct. And what Auburn has, it's a crackerjack arena, seats about 9,000. They're all packed in. And the students are right there and play a major factor to make it one of the louder arenas. Now, as Phil mentioned, I mean, when you win by 40 and you're playing Carolina, not exactly a natural rivalry, it's not going to be their best. You want to see their best look? Go to the Kentucky game. Go to the Alabama game. Mm-hmm. Heck, go to the Florida game. I mean, that's different stuff altogether. But yeah, it's just a younger, more exuberant crowd. Whereas a place like Alabama, Tennessee, they're not bad, but it's just a little bit different.
Mike, last thing, South Carolina. I'm asking this for the aspect of the Gamecock fans. So South Carolina 5-1, top of the ninth, assuming they win this game. Should they go? Would you expect them to go 56-0 this season if they win this opener? I'm asking from the standpoint of the Gamecock fans. And if they don't, should they fire the coach?
Yes, after every loss, I think you should start the show off with Coach Kingston should be fired, Coach Backett should be fired. Every team should go 56-0. But short of that, look, teams just like the midweek games, you're going to lose some games to the mid majors. You just are. And I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but in a lot of ways, it's so much more insignificant than what you're going to have when you play those 30 conference games. That's where you're going to make your season. That's where you're going to make your resume. That's when you're going to find out whether or not you're good enough to host, whether or not you're good enough to be a top 8 national seed. That's the biggest part. That, and of course, the 3 matchups with Clemson. So I don't get too worked up about over stats or anything else that happens in February games against the team from the MAC.
You have yourself a great weekend. Great call tomorrow, and then we will talk to you next week. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, sounds good, guys. Have a great weekend.
You too. Mike Morgan on the move. 5-1, South Carolina, top of the ninth, though Miami, Ohio's got runners on the corners, 2 outs. Clemson 12-2, bottom of the eighth, 26-0. Coastal over George Mason. The no-hitter is still in
the
place.
Towel. So throw in the towel. Come on, George Mason.
And the Citadel, you haven't heard a whole lot of this around the quad at the Citadel. The Citadel wins 1-0. I'm sorry, 14-2. They're 1-0. 14-2, the Citadel over St. Bonaventure. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back here to the high school clinic. Have another guest coming up, Neil Smith, the executive director of the Touchstone Energy Cooperative's North-South All-Star Football Game, America's premier All-Star Football Game. He's going to join us for a few minutes after the break. We'll find out about off-season preparations with that. And we've got recruiting coming up. Jeff Owens on NASCAR. Hey, it's Daytona weekend. He'll be joining us a little bit after 7 o'clock. Don't go away. Much to do here on Sports Talk Friday night from the beach, from Columbia, and from Sardis.
Last year was a big year for Founders Federal Credit Union and our amazing members. A total of $30 million was given back to qualifying members in the form of loyalty bonus dividends, proving once again that it pays to be a Founders member. Founders is also committed to pouring time and resources into the local communities we serve. If you aren't a member yet, what are you waiting for? Join Founders today. Visit foundersfcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, this is Lisa Hosteller-Brown. If you or a loved one are over 65 and haven't completed a long-term care planning consultation, now is the time. Did you know that if you aren't able to afford the high cost of skilled care, your assets can be rapidly depleted to only $2,000 unless you plan 5 years in advance? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
When trouble comes like the accidents do, we all get sick and the bills pile too. There's only one number that can help see you through. And if you're healthy, here's what you should do. Call 605-7905. That's the number that you need to know. 605-7905. $0 deductible. What's a deductible, you say? That's the price you have to pay before the insurance will say we'll help you. They keep the number out of reach because they know that you won't reach that number because they know you're healthy. 605-7905. $0 deductible. 605-7905. 727 is the area code.
You put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're coming to you tonight from the South Carolina Football Coaches Association Clinic in Myrtle Beach. Always a great time. You get to see a lot of people involved with high school football, college football, all different aspects of the game here in South Carolina. We want to welcome to our microphones Coach Neil Smith from White Knoll, but also the executive director of the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl every December here in Myrtle Beach. It's the best all-star game in the country, in our humble opinion. Welcome in.
I might be a little biased, but I agree as well. And thank you for having me, Phil. Always a great time.
My pleasure. First of all, I got to ask you, what a great job you guys did at White Knoll this year. You make it to the state championship game. You play your rival for the state championship. It didn't go your way, but for the first time, y'all got there. And what was that like for you? And then getting over it and moving on, what's that been like for you?
Honestly, Coach Nick Pelham, our head coach, has done a phenomenal job to really turn this program around. It was not in the best situation whenever we got here, but to make it to a state championship game within 3 years, we're blessed. And, anytime you have to play the GOAT, whether it's once, and in our case, we had to play him twice.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And after that, moving towards the off season, we've carried over a lot of momentum. Our kids understand what it takes to win. They're excited, but they also know what it feels like, and they want to get back to it.
Yeah. Working hard in the off season.
Absolutely.
They got a taste of it, and they want more, don't they?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's talk about the All-Star game. It'll be here before we know it. It rolls around so quickly. Y'all did a fabulous job last year. Very nice crowd on hand. We had beautiful weather. The balloon got to go up and everything, so that was great. What are you doing in the off season as far as planning and maybe adjusting some things and maybe taking some new angles and some new looks at things?
It's kind of we actually had a meeting today. Coach Mickey Wilson and I, the head coach of Myrtle Beach, we sat down and met and actually started to kind of revamp some of the rules. But this is a constant, I don't want to say battle, but a constant process of evaluating the game moving forward. A lot of people think we show up in December and it just happens. It's 365 working on north-south.
So what kind of things are you looking at rules-wise that you want to adjust?
So really to clarify a few of the issues with overtime, make sure everybody's on the same page, make sure
unlike the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Make sure everything is written accordingly, and so that coaches have that access. And also we're really looking at changing the defensive structure. In years past, it's been a 4-2 defense, and just with the way South Carolina high school football is set up right now, it's much more 3-4 based. So we're looking at kind of changing the rules to adapt to that. Some of the best players in our state play outside backer in the 3-4, and because the way that the defense is structured, we don't get those players.
Sure.
So being able to kind of transition into that just to make sure we get the best players in South Carolina on the field.
Let me ask you, a few years ago, I think around the COVID time, they went to the 3-day practice week. Guys come in on Tuesday and you practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you get 6 practices, maybe 5 if you don't do much on that Friday. Is that enough, you think, to have the type of offensive game? I know Coach Early, when he was running it, he really wanted offense and a lot of points because that excites people. That sells tickets. Can you have that kind of offensive cohesion that you need to have that kind of performance in that short of time?
I think so. We haven't had I think our games have been extremely explosive offensively. Really what we kind of learned whenever we had the full week was that we were hurrying up to wait. So we would, we'd get all this practice in, and then those last couple of days, there was just a lot of downtime. So now when we condensed everything, it really became much more, we know exactly where we have to be, getting everything installed, and it's much more attention to detail because it's a quicker paced week. But I don't think we've taken a hit offensively at all with it.
All right. Touchstone Energy Cooperatives.
Yes, sir.
How big are they for this game? How great have they been to help expand this game?
Amazing. Yeah. There is no North-South game without them. They are, Bob Pauling is, him and Dale Pauling is white. I mean, they're fantastic people. They truly love South Carolina high school football. They just want to give back. We cannot say enough positive things about the Touchstone Energy Bowl.
Yeah, they have done fantastic work. Anything else you want to mention about future ticket sales or anything else you want to add that might be, is there anything new going to be added to the non-football part of the game? Because I know that like Friday night's gotten bigger and bigger. What other things are you looking at to add to the weekend or add to that week?
So we started a couple years ago taking the kids to Topgolf.
Yes.
So we'll continue doing that. I mean, we have gotten positive feedback from the players, which the end of the day, that's what we're looking for, is the players have a great time. With the week, we're always kind of evaluating, but we have learned that the kids really, we think, bond better playing games and going to Top Golf and setting all that stuff up. So I could see us moving a little bit forward, more doing things of that nature.
Yeah, just getting them away from football and just letting them connect with one another.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yes,
Look
sir.
forward to talking to you many times, seeing you during the season perhaps, and then in December for sure.
Absolutely.
For the All-Star game.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Neil Smith, the Executive Director of the Touchstone Energy Cooperative's North-South All-Star Football Game, December, Doug Shaw Memorial Stadium in Myrtle Beach. Okay. All right, what you got baseball-wise, Chris? Oh, you all right?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. That's
got all choked up by the
it's
start of
usually
baseball
me.
season.
I'm the one that's usually hacking up a lung.
Gamecocks have gone final. They have knocked off Miami of Ohio 5-1. So a solid win for the Gamecocks. Eli Jones gets the victory, goes 6 innings, allows a run on 3 hits. USC getting all 5 of its runs early in the ball game, and then just played pitching after that. They scored 5 runs in the second after Miami of Ohio got the first run of the game in the top of the first. Lights out the rest of the way. 5-6-2 for the Gamecocks. So I'm sure Mark Kingston is going to be a little upset about the defense and the lapses thereof. And 1-7-2 for Miami of Ohio. Stranded 12. Gamecocks strand 9 as they go to 1-0 on the season. Bottom of the 8th up at Clemson. Tigers pouring it on Xavier. They lead 14-2, and they've got the bases loaded with 1 out. So Clemson poised to go to 1-0 on the season, and barring an epic collapse of,
epic proportions.
Coastal's going to go to 1-0. This is a big stretch. They lead 26-0 in the bottom of the 8th inning over George Mason.
But you know what? I mean, all right, so coming out of this game, Coastal will be averaging at least 26 runs a game coming out of this game. So, I mean, look, they could be shut out over their next 5 games, and they'd still be averaging about 5 runs a game. So their offensive numbers, they're going to look really good for a long time.
Well, and with this tournament, the pitching is going to improve considerably. They still have Indiana and Duke to face this weekend. So
yeah,
my guess is get all you can against George Mason, who's clearly outclassed, even though they made the NCAA tournament, if I'm not mistaken, last year. But nonetheless, they're clearly outclassed. So Coastal, yeah, their offensive numbers are going to come down. But I'm telling you, just from what I've seen out of this team and what Gary Gilmore has told us and other people around the program have told me, this won't be an aberration. 26 runs maybe, but this is a team that can score double-digit runs about every night.
Well, it's just too bad for their standpoint that they lost those 2 arms to injuries. They were counting on those guys, especially the Joyce kid. I mean, he's a special arm, right?
As far as I know, yeah. That was the 4. I think they've actually lost about 4 guys off their pitching staff that they're concerned about. So, yeah, that will be a bigger problem, I think, than their offense. Their offense is going to be fine. To carry them where they want to go, they're going to need their pitching staff to step up and pitch like Riley Eichhoff did today.
Yeah. Okay. Got to hit a break. We haven't said hello to Pat Daniel tonight. Hello, Pat.
What's up, guys? Happy Friday.
Same to you, sir. Roast beef style Friday.
That's right. Lots of gravy.
Hey, man, let's go racing. Let's go racing after the break. Jeff Owens joins us to talk about Daytona. Be right back.
UXL Columbia W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Correspondent Shelley Adler reports on a judgment in Donald Trump's civil fraud trial.
A New York judge has ruled against Donald Trump, imposing a $364 million penalty over what the judge ruled was a years-long scheme to dupe banks and others with financial statements that inflated the former president's wealth. In delivering the verdict, Judge Arthur Engoron backed away from a prior decision that would have dissolved the former president's companies. Trump has denied wrongdoing, and his lawyers have said they'll appeal. The stiff penalty was a win for New York Attorney General Letitia James, who sued Trump over what she said was not just harmless bragging, but years of deceptive practices. I'm Shelley Adler.
There's construction of a second border wall in Egypt near Rafah.
Video taken by the Sinai Foundation for Human Rights shows cranes lifting tall precast concrete barriers into place and trucks carrying cement blocks. The foundation believes the construction is intended to create a high-security gated area in preparation for Palestinian refugees in the case of a mass exodus. The Wall Street Journal, quoting anonymous Egyptian officials, described an 8-square-mile walled enclosure that could accommodate over 100,000 people. Egypt has repeatedly warned Israel, and Israel's defense minister said Friday his country has no intention of forcibly expelling over 1 million displaced Palestinians now in Rafah into its neighbor's territory. Preparations on the Egyptian side suggest Cairo is preparing for just that scenario. I'm Jennifer King.
Reaction to the death of Russian dissident Alexei Navalny is still coming in. Former world chess champion turned opposition activist Garry Kasparov said Putin tried and failed to murder Navalny quickly and secretly with poison, and now he's murdered him slowly and publicly in prison. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 145 points. The NASDAQ dropped 130. More at townhall.com.
If you had a reason to be here, that's bigger than you are.
From the creators of Jesus Revolution.
Something about that little girl I think I'm supposed to help.
Based on the inspiring true story.
My name is Sharon. I'm good at plenty of things, taking no for an answer ain't one.
Find your purpose. Make a difference. You want to go in a picture?
Yeah.
Ordinary Angels. Starring two-time Academy Award winner Hilary Swank and Alan Richson. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. In theaters February 23rd.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Correspondent Seth Sutel reports on Wall Street slump.
Stocks slipped to send Wall Street to a rare losing week, just its second in the last 16. The S&P 500 fell 0.5% Friday after a report on inflation at the wholesale level came in hotter than expected. The benchmark index set a record high just a day earlier. The Dow fell 145 points. That's about 0.4%. The Nasdaq Composite gave up 0.8%. The inflation report was the latest reminder that the battle against rising prices is not over. Treasury yields rose after the data kept the door closed on hopes that the Federal Reserve could cut interest rates in March. Seth Sutel, New York.
Both Japan and the United Kingdom said Thursday their economies weakened during the final 3 months of 2023. For each, it was the second straight quarter that's happened, which fits one lay definition for a recession. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy and mild tonight, the low is 53. Tomorrow, early showers possible without warming up much. The high just 59. Now, Sunday's the nicer day of the weekend. More Sunday as the day progresses. The high, though, just 54. Looking ahead, next week looks very pleasant. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Mush with your On Point local weather.
As a kid, you dreamed of being a firefighter one day. Now, the opportunity is yours. Answer the sound of sirens. Live your dream. Become a part of a team, a family. Visit scvolunteerfire.org to find out more.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Well, we're just having one heck of a night here on Sports Talk as we come to you from the Coaches Association's clinic here in Myrtle Beach with the Crown Reef. Beautiful hotel right at the this would be the south edge of Myrtle Beach, right at the beginning of Ocean what do they call it? Ocean Highway, not Ocean Highway, not Ocean Drive,
Ocean Boulevard.
Ocean Boulevard. I'll figure it out in a second. I've only been coming here for 60 years. Ocean Boulevard, and beautiful hotel. They've done a bunch of remodeling, and great place to have this clinic. It looks like everybody's having a big old time. If you're just joining us, Shane Beamer was with us in the first hour, and first interview he's done since the hiring of Sean Elliott, which was quite the move by Shane Beamer to bring Sean Elliott onto his staff. Sean Elliott is here with the Gamecock contingent. Love to grab him for a few minutes, but I don't see him anywhere. They've moved on to other places. But a heck of a pickup for Shane Beamer from that standpoint. By the way, that reminds me, taking a look at the contract that Sean Elliott received, he is taking a little bit of a pay cut from what he had as the head coach at Georgia State, where he was like in the middle of the Sun Belt. We looked into that last night. I think he was making about $850 a year.
Right.
He gets a 3-year deal beginning today, ending December 31st, 2026. $750 for this season, $750 for next season, and $775 for the third season on that contract. And South Carolina will pay $150,000 to the buyout on the contract at Georgia State. So they really wanted him, and they're doing whatever they had to do to get it done. Plus, there's a variety of bonuses depending on how well the Gamecocks do. A variety of bonuses. Like if the Gamecocks win a national championship, he'll get a $65,000 bonus, gets a car, et cetera, et cetera. So 3-year deal, about $750 a year for him to come to South Carolina. And like I said to Beamer, I mean, they've really aged on the offensive staff. A lot of veterans with a lot of football knowledge on that offensive side now, Chris, and that should pay off. That should pay off for this offensive unit, because they've got, with what he took out of the portal and what they've got coming back, they've got some good players. Of course, it all hinges on Lenore Sellers and or Robbie Ashford, whoever ends up as a starting quarterback. That's where it begins and ends in most cases. But I see nothing but positives for what they have done on the offensive side to replace the people that they had to replace.
You know, and we'll get to Jeff Owens here in just a second, but it was funny when you were talking about the Gamecocks having to pay $150,000 for the buyout of Elliott's contract at Georgia State. We've gotten so jaded with the amount of money that's just thrown around college athletics sort of willy-nilly. I mean, millions and millions and millions of dollars. Doesn't a $150,000 buyout almost sound somewhat just ridiculous and punitive as much as
peanuts?
Anything? It really is. I mean, it's almost ridiculous to even have one that low. And just, I think it illustrates the difference between that level of football right now in college athletics and Power 5 football.
No question. Okay. Time to go racing. Shall we go racing, boys?
Absolutely.
Let's go racing, Pat. Pat, let's go racing. Yeah, bring it.
Love it when it's fast. Love it when the leaders talk. Package moving fast. Love it when they make you lots and lots of noise. Can't wait to hear these W's say.
Yes, sir.
Let's go racing, boys. Come on, Chris.
At Daytona, we go racing. Hopefully we go racing on Sunday, but the weather is a little bit iffy. Let's welcome in Jeff Owens, our man on NASCAR for another year in the fast lane. Appreciate it as always, Jeff. It's a short off season. We hardly told you goodbye not too long ago, so welcome back. How are you?
Yeah, seems like it was just yesterday. Yeah. shortest off season in sports, really. Only about a month and a half, 2 months, but we're right back at it. We're at Daytona, getting ready for the Daytona 500 on Sunday, and should be an exciting race and should be another great season.
Well, they practiced today. Denny Hamlin, 197.4. Eric Jones, 197.4. Christopher Bell, 197.4. Ty Gibbs, 197.3. Toyota. Top 8.
Yep.
Now, is that just what is that? What does that mean?
That's the story right now. Toyota and Ford both have new cars or new bodies. We all know these cars are almost identical, but they both got new bodies, new cars this year. So we didn't really know what to expect in Daytona. We go down there, and the Fords fired the first shot by sweeping the front row in qualifying, and the Toyotas weren't very fast. But then we go to the duels last night, and we saw what happened. The Toyotas went straight to the front in both races last night. They won both races. Tyler Reddick making a great move on the last lap to win the first one. Christopher Bell practically did the same thing and won the second one. Now they've dominated practice. So this looks like a Toyota show. Every single one of those Toyotas looks really fast and looks like they're going to be tough to beat.
So watching the latter part of race 2, which is what I got to see last night, a lot of inline racing, not a whole lot of side-by-side, as I recall, maybe towards the end, of course, when things got mixed up, they got a little side-by-side. Should we expect, of course, you never know what to expect at Daytona and Talladega because of the nature of those races, but are we going to see more nose-to-tail type of racing, or will they still go, door side-by-side, 3 wide and things like that? How do you think it will play out in the race?
Yeah, I think they'll mix it up. I think they'll go at it early, then they'll settle down and they'll try to run single file for a while and lock some laps and wait till maybe 50 laps to go or something like that. But what happens down there? Somebody makes a mistake. We have a big pile up. You get a bunch of cars taken out. And then all of a sudden that changes the game. It also depends on who's up front.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got some guys, and we've seen this 3 years in a row. We've had an upset down there 3 years in a row now with Austin Cindric, Michael McDowell, and Ricky Stenhouse. It could happen again. So if some of those guys that don't win very often, if they've got a shot to go up there and lead this race, they're going to go for it. So you're right. This is the most unpredictable race they run. So there's no telling what's going to happen. I do think they will try their best to settle down and get to the end, but circumstances may not let them do that. And you're right with what you said at the top of the segment. Weather doesn't look good at all. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow and all day Sunday. So we may be running Monday. They may get it going and delayed. So all of that stuff could factor into it as well. So we'll see. It's Daytona, so there's no telling what might happen.
Jeff Owens in the fast lane here on Sports Talk. Jeff, so good to have you back. Get excited every Friday. We get a chance to chat with you going into the weekend. I want to go back to your point about the Fords basically stripping things down with the new car and going out and just running great in qualifying. Ford in qualifying versus Toyota in the duels last night. Is that by design? Did Ford just want to make sure they put people on the pole that weren't Chevrolets? And secondly, does that bode much better for Toyota because they looked better in the draft last night than, say, maybe the Chevrolets have and certainly even the Fords?
Yeah, it definitely favors Toyota because Ford did not look good last night. Part of that, in one of those races, there were only 4 Toyotas in that second race and 12 Fords. And the Fords could not get hooked up. They couldn't go anywhere, and the Toyota still won. Everybody that goes down there, I think, they want to sit on the pole because you get a lot of exposure and a lot of momentum and all that. But what really matters is how well your car drafts and how it handles in the draft. And when we got into it last night, it sure didn't look like the Ford cars were handling very well in the draft. Those Toyotas, all the Toyotas pretty much all of them qualified pretty bad. So they started at the back last night, and they went straight to the front in both races. The only ones that could stay with them were the Chevrolets, and the Hendrick cars mixed it up pretty good. But the other thing is they had not been on the track with no practice or anything before qualifying. So when they took the track last night, that's the first time they'd been on the track all week and all season with these new cars. So they really didn't know what they had. They do now. We know the Toyotas are fast. Maybe the Fords were sandbagging a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Joey Logano was on the pole, but he kind of fell back and ran around at the back for a while, but it looked like he tried to get up there toward the end, and he got about mid-pack, and he couldn't go nowhere else. And the only Ford we saw up front was the pole sitter, Michael McDowell, and he's the one you would expect to go to the back and just hang out. But we'll see. And those speeds this afternoon in Toyota, with Toyotas dominating in practice, that backed up what we saw last night. So right now, it looks like the Toyotas have a big advantage.
If you're Ryan Blaney, after what you went through last night, how much do you rethink your career decisions? Because that was as hard a crash as I have seen into one of the walls at Daytona in a long, long time. And secondly, does it speak to the Fords not being able to move, and he just got trapped in the draft and had nowhere to go?
Yeah. Boy, thank God for those safer barriers.
No doubt.
Yeah, that was a Dale Earnhardt type crash. That's the first thing I thought of. My God, that looks just like an Earnhardt crash. Mm-hmm. And because of Earnhardt's crash, that's the reason we have those safer barriers, and that's why Ryan Blaney was able to crawl out of that car. And what a way for your champion to start the season to have a wreck like that. And he was not happy. He was not happy. I do think you're right. I think the Fords could not move forward. They were stuck in the middle. And Ryan was trying to make a move, and William Byron blocked him, and then they kind of chain reaction behind him. But, you know, Blaney and Brad Keselowski and all the Fords were stuck in the middle of the draft, and they couldn't go anywhere. So I do think that had a little bit to do with it. You know, you also got, like I said, you got two new cars in the field with a new Ford and a new Toyota. So they don't know yet how hard they can push, you know, how the car is going to maneuver in the draft, and how the air is going to flow over these cars. So everybody was a little uncertain last night, and they got to moving around a little bit, and it caused a big crash. I think you're going to see some more of that on Sunday too, because, you know, these cars, they don't know everything about them yet, particularly how they run in the draft. And we don't get, in my opinion, they don't get nearly enough practice down there at Daytona. They have another practice tomorrow, but I don't think many cars are going to go out at all, probably only about half the field, because you don't want to tear your car up. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty on Sunday, and I think there's a really good chance that we're going to see more crashes just like that, and it's probably going to be caused by somebody blocking or pushing too hard.
Before we get your pick, tell us about the last man to get into the race, Kaz Gralla from Front Row Motorsports. Just reading a little bit about him, he has won at Daytona before in trucks back in 2017, but he got in. He was the last one to sneak into the field, and he got some notoriety last night.
Yeah. Interesting guy. He's been hanging around and bumping around a little bit the last few years. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Phil, that he's from Israel. I believe that is correct.
Shalom.
He is also... Yeah, and I also believe, I might be wrong about this, I think he also went to Duke, I believe. I could be wrong about that. But I think he went to college. he wanted to race. He got into racing, and he's been trying to land a ride and break in for a few years now. He's run some truck races. He's run some Xfinity races, and he gets an opportunity in one of the kind of back marker cars there, but he raced his way in last night. That was a big story. And how about Jimmy Johnson? Your 7-time champion almost missed the race, but in typical Jimmy Johnson's fashion, he stepped up at the end and got in the field there. And that's another thing to watch, Phil. That team that he's racing for, which used to be the old Richard Petty, they switched to Toyota in the offseason. So you got Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson, and John Hunter Nemechek driving for that team. So that gives them 3 more Toyotas on the track to draft with. that's going to make them even stronger, and that's even a bigger advantage for Toyota.
All right. I like Denny Hamlin. It seems like, of course, he was winning the second race last night. Then I don't know if he made a technical error on the track there late and let some people get by him, kind of drifted back. But I like Denny Hamlin. He's looked strong, led practice today. Who do you like?
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that pick. He's won it 3 times. He's one of the best there is. So yeah, I think he's a favorite. I'll throw 2 other names at you that might be a little bit of a long shot, but they got great stories behind them. This is the 20th Daytona 500 for Kyle Busch, and he's never won it.
Yeah.
And he's driving for Richard Childress Racing. And if you remember, back in 1998, a guy by the name of Dale Earnhardt finally won the Daytona 500 in his 20th start for Richard Childress Racing.
Oh.
So just a little irony there.
Hey.
A lot of people are watching Kyle Busch. So we'll see. The other guy I like, even though he's in a Ford, is Brad Keselowski. He's never won it either. Keeps coming close. They got better last year. I'd keep an eye on him as well. But I do think it's going to be a Toyota or Chevrolet show. So we'll see.
The conspiracy theorist now, always looking for an angle for NASCAR. Let's just see when that when that unjustified yellow comes out to help Kyle Busch get back in the race.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
The 6 is in for the 8 car.
There you go. We'll be watching, and of course, who once drove the 8 car but an Earnhardt, right? So
that's right. There
go
you
figure.
go. Another irony. Yep.
We thank you.
Right,
we
guys.
look forward to a nice,
Jeff.
long,
Thanks, Jeff.
hot, dirty NASCAR season with you. And
It's gonna
we'll talk
be
to you
fun.
next Friday.
Okay, guys. Enjoy the race and have a good one.
You too, buddy. Thank you. Hopefully we race on Sunday. I hate for this thing to go to Monday.
Yeah, no, that would be a disaster for NASCAR. You've got to have your Super Bowl on the day it's supposed to be held. It can't go over to Monday. People have to work. You lose a lot of luster. And all right, everybody's thinking it, so I'll go ahead and mention it. That Kaz Grala gets some help from the officials since he's the Duke guy and got into the race.
Oh, well
come on,
done.
everybody else was thinking it. I'll just say it.
Well done, Maestro. 26-0. Coastal has finished off the game, and they call it after 6. No. They call it, no, they did not.
No, they had to play every out. They had to get 27 outs in baseball. You can't stop it early.
Well, it impacts the quality of the game, but I just want to see.
That really impacted the quality of the game playing those last 3 innings.
And Coastal gave up a hit. So they win 26-0 with a 1-hitter. They gave up 1 walk. They did not commit any errors, so only 2 base runners for George Mason. All right, run to the break. We'll come back with recruiting. And then right around the corner, birdies, bogeys, and biceps with George Bryan III. And our special guest, we cannot ask him any racing questions. Let's make a pledge. No racing questions for Kerry Tharp. Nothing but golf questions. He's a golf guy.
All right.
He knows nothing about NASCAR anymore. So that will be coming up after the break. We'll continue in just a moment. Don't go away. We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30-plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Hi, yes, I'll have the club sandwich and house salad.
You got it, sweetie. I'll throw in a pair of designer sunglasses as well.
Just lunch, thanks.
How about a week at my boss's oceanfront villa?
What?
When you join the South Carolina Education Lottery's Players Club, you get way more than you expect. More chances, more wins, and more surprises.
Today's special, a trip to low Earth orbit in a private spaceship.
Join the Players Club at seeducationlottery.com because more happens here.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination. I have 3 simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornblut. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait, order today. All right, time for the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. Another great week at Seawells for great buffets. Back at it on Monday, every day, 11 till 2. Roast beef Friday today, so I know it was great. Wish I had been there for that. We'll catch it soon. And you got something coming up that needs the very best for the catering side of things. Just simply call Seawells and let them handle everything for you from a catering standpoint. Nobody will do it better, and they will give you a great price, and they'll take care of everything, helping you plan, setting it up, executing it, and cleaning it up. Of course, that's the good folks over at Seawells, 803-771-7385. Defensive tackle Christian Garrett, 6'4", 285, Bogart, Georgia, this week. Named Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Southern Cal as his schools he's focused on at this stage. About Clemson, he told us, amazing school, have really good D linemen, really good getting the best out of those D linemen. They gave him a good first impression when he was up there, really good connection with Nick Eason and Dabo Sweeney for him. So really likes Clemson. Clemson's got a great shot with this kid who looks like a type of defensive tackle that they've had up there for many, many years. So he had junior day visits in January to Georgia and Georgia Tech. Off-season labrum surgery limited his travel. He's got an official visit to Clemson already set for that May 31st weekend. He also has one to Georgia on June the 7th. Make his decision around the back end of summer. Receiver Cortez Mills of Homestead, Florida, has Clemson among his current favorites with Miami, Nebraska, LSU, and Penn State, and he was offered today by Tennessee. USC and Clemson target defensive end Isaiah Gibson of Warner Robins, Georgia, was offered by Alabama. Heathwood Hall, cornerback Onis Conanbany, was offered by Alabama today. T.L. Hanna, cornerback Cam Strong, was offered by Tulane. Offensive tackle Mason Short of Evans, Georgia, he named the top 4: Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, and Kentucky. One of the state's top prospects in the 2025 class, not 2035, as I mistakenly typed. Thank you very much for those who noted that. Rock Hill receiver Malik Clark set an official visit to USC for May 31st. Safety Jonte Gilbert of Atlanta, official visit to USC June 7th. Offensive tackle Juan Gasson of Atlanta, official visit to Oregon June 21st. Also Georgia May 31st, USC on June 7th. Linebacker Zayden Walker of Ellaville, Georgia, official visit with USC June 21st. He's the brother of USC signee cornerback DeLewis Solomon, and he is big, big time. Safety Jordan Young, official visit with Clemson May 31st. Hit the break, be back. Birdie's Bogies Biceps.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Cloudy and mild tonight, the low is 53. Tomorrow, early showers possible without warming up much. The high just 59. Now, Sunday's the nicer day of the weekend. More Sunday as the day progresses. The high, though, just 54. Looking ahead, next week looks very pleasant. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Mush with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven-baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee-Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
That's our news. Peters reporting President Biden says that the apparent death of Russian anti-corruption activist Alexei Navalny brings new urgency to the need for Congress to approve tens of billions of dollars for Ukraine to stave off Moscow's invasion. Speaking at the White House, Biden said that no matter the cause, he holds Russian President Vladimir Putin responsible for Navalny's death. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has said he is not running for president, according to his spokesman John Cott. Manchin announced his decision in a speech Friday at West Virginia University. The centrist Democrat who often bucks his party's leadership has been considering a run for the presidency, and it said he thought it would be clear by March if there was a path for a third-party candidate this year. Manchin is not running for re-election in 2024. More details at srnnews.com.
Thinking about investing in a hot tub? Great idea. Hot tubs offer relaxing hydrotherapy for tired muscles and stressed minds. But beware, all spas are not the same. At Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, we offer hot spring and free flow spas exclusively for the quality, energy efficiency, and affordability. And we have everything to keep your spa and pool sparkling, clean, and crystal clear. Come see it all at Jack Oliver's Pool Spa and Patio, Forest Drive, and jackoliverpools.com.
You don't normally call a plumber until you need a plumber. Well, if you need one today or if you need one tomorrow, I want you to remember Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Listen, I might not know all the tricks to turning a wrench, but I do know how a plumbing company should work and how to treat people. My dad was a plumber. My grandfather was a plumber, and so were three of my uncles. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning does it right. They're the epitome of customer service. They're locally owned and operated, and Josh and his team, well, they put customer service as the top priority for Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. I've never known a business owner more intent on making it a great experience for people. And let's face it, when you have a plumbing crisis, well, that could be traumatic. They specialize in service and replacement issues for your home or for your business. They've been to my home and fixed 3 different plumbing issues I had in the house. If you need them, they're there to help. Online at franklinplumbing.sc.com or call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning 799-2222. That's 799-2222. And tell them Kev sent you from The Point.
I'm Jeremy Sweet from Sweet's Comfort Services. If you need service or a new system installed that meets the new SEER 2 requirements, you want someone properly qualified, we stand by our work and charge a fair price. We're a full-service HVAC company and customer satisfaction is a necessity. We even offer affordable preventative maintenance agreements and financing. We're online at sweethvac.com or call us at 803-331-8143. That's Sweet's Comfort Services, 331-8143.
Step into a world of comfortable living with Lexington Discount Homes. For over 3 decades, we've dedicated ourselves to helping families find their dream home. Our steadfast commitment to customer service and our broad range of homes ensure a fit for every taste and budget. Experience the stunning detail of a Lexington home in person at 1847 Augusta Highway. Too busy? Visit LexingtonDiscountHomes.com for a virtual tour. For homes that spell absolute comfort, you know where to find us. Lexington Discount Homes.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit. That's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is time now for Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps here on Sports Talk. We're at the Coaches Clinic in Myrtle Beach, and we've had a great time here. We have been going helter-skelter. Time to slow down a little bit and talk some golf. We've got George Bryan III joining us, and also Carrie Tharp joining us to talk golf as well. We'll have them with us in just a second. Want to give you the leaderboard update from over in California at Riviera as they play second round at the Genesis. You probably know that Tiger has withdrawn from the tournament because of a back issue. It was 2 over par, and he pulled out about halfway through his round, I think.
It was an illness, by the way, not his back. Reports have come out that his back is perfectly fine. He had flu-like symptoms, apparently had a fever, and tried to make it out on the course. But I guess during practice, or maybe it was during his round, he felt unwell and actually had to get an IV and fluids, but it was not related to his back.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so we have got Patrick Cantlay, 13 under par. He's starting to run away with it. 64-65. Luke List, he's 8 under after a 69. Jason Day is 8 under after a 69. And Mackenzie Hughes, a 65, 8 under. Corey Connors is 65. He is 7 under. That's the top of the leaderboard. And then Scotty Scheffler, 4 under. Jordan Spieth, 73. He's 3 under. Scheffler shot a 70. Roy McIlroy, a 66. He's 2 under. And Lucas Glover, a 71. He's -2. Colin Morikawa, a 71. He's -1. And Justin Thomas on the course, he's +4 for the tournament. There you go. With that, we've got college golf. The USC women won another tournament. That's 3 wins for them already this year. That's 26 wins for Kaylin Anderson as the coach of the USC women. They are excellent once again this season. An opportunity, I think, to go deep in the NCAA tournament, maybe win that elusive national championship. Let's welcome in George Bryan III, our special guest, Carrie Tharp, the new co-executive director of the Darlington Country Club. George, you're on the tee, brother. Welcome in.
Oh, that's very special. Glad to be part of this group. This is Darlington Country Club was my warm-up for the 1999 PGA Championship. Darlington Country Club Pro Lady. And I had no idea that Mr. Tharp was now in the role of GM at Darlington. Welcome. Glad to hear that. We need you.
George, let me tell you something. It's an honor to be on the show tonight. When they called me the other day and said that I would maybe have an opportunity to be on, you have meant so much to golf in the state of South Carolina and beyond. And to hear that you said that you played Darlington in 1999 as your precursor for the U.S. Open, man, that is fantastic. And I want to invite you out to the club because it's changed a whole lot, I guarantee you, since you were here. And even in the 8 years I've been at Darlington, it's changed a lot. But it's great to be on with you tonight and look forward to our visit.
Let me say one thing real quick, Georgia, if I may. KT, I've known you a long time. I didn't know that you knew one end of a golf club from the other.
Hey, Phil, did you know that I knew anything about NASCAR? Right? Hey, Phil, trust me, and George knows this. It's a lot about relationships. It's about people. And, I've been in the state of South Carolina since 1985, which, I consider it a pretty lengthy period of time. But I love this state. I love Darlington. I've been here now about 8 years. And even when I announced my retirement last summer and retired in December, I wasn't going to leave Darlington. People were saying, well, why aren't you going to leave? I said, where would I go? I mean, I like it here. This is a nice place to live. And this opportunity came up kind of around the Christmas break and the first of the new year. And Timmy Huntley is a very, very successful businessman here in the Darlington area, and bought the country club about 5 years ago. And I tell you what, its trajectory right now is heading upward.
Well, I love the track. It is so much fun, and I'm not exaggerating. It was I had a little injury, and the only thing I could play in to prepare for Medina, and that was actually the PGA Championship back in 1999.
I got you, PGA. Lady. I got you. Sorry about that.
One pro lady. It was the Darlington Country Club pro lady. Back in the day, Bill Bland was the head pro, and the club was actually, of course, great shape back then. But it's nice and narrow, and I think I shot even par, which was pleasing to me at the time because I thought it played pretty tough, and I hadn't played in 2 months, and I didn't make a check in the Darlington Pro Lady, which means that we had some good players playing. But I had a blast. Sure. I will take you up on that invite, and I am just dying to know what in the world motivated you to get into the golf business.
Well, George, that's a great question. Like I said, I've been here at Darlington for about 8 years, and I retired from the racetrack. And I live here in the country club community. It's a great neighborhood, and I've been a member of the club ever since I came to Darlington. And when Timmy Huntley bought this golf club about 5 years ago, he had a vision to really turn it into something special. And he's starting to do that, and has been doing that the last several years. And it's a really, really pretty golf course. It's right on the Black Creek, and he's done a lot of things to improve it. He's got a great greenskeeper and a guy by the name of David Strickland, and it's a special place and a special community. I would say that it's too tough to tame because it's kind of a tricky golf course. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
I knew that was coming. Can't help himself.
Oh, you knew it was coming. And George, let me tell you something. It is. I always love the layout here. I'm not what I would call a great golfer by any stretch of the imaginations, but I do like to hit it around. It's a great layout, and what Timmy and his team have done here have only made it better, and it's only going to get better over the next several months and few years. And so it's a great course, got a great banquet and venue facility, Olympic-sized pool, tennis courts, pickleball courts. And I just said, hey, why not? I'm in the retired mode, but I still got some gas in the tank, George. And so when he approached me about this, I said, hey, I'm all in. And so, I can get to the office here and I got an office here at the house, but I can get up to the country club in about 3 minutes, and that's doing the speed limit. That's doing the speed limit, right? So,
hey, that's also my guess is you got a cart.
Well, I got my own cart here. It says "Too Tough to Tame" on it, and also says Carolina on one side of it. But I mean, it's just and George, you know this better than me. A country club and a golf course is such a connector for a community, and a great place to be. And it's just a great time for me to be doing this in this particular chapter of my life.
I have another quick question. I have another quick question, if I may. KT, do you have any dog legs to the left that are sort of like, shaped like an egg and like really tight because you got a pond back there behind it? You got any of those type of dog legs?
Yeah, we do have a few dog legs. We didn't want to disturb the pond, exactly. I know where you're going with that, with the story behind the origination of Darlington Raceway. But I tell you, we do have the Black Creek that snakes its way through the golf course, and it's really, really a scenic setting. We've got some big plans here, and I know Timmy has some big plans here to do some things here at the course and attract some out-of-town visitors. And we're open for play 7 days a week, George, and it's kind of a neat deal. I think we're kind of a hidden gem actually here in the PD. There's some great golf courses around here, no doubt about it, in this particular area of the state, and as you know, in the entire state of South Carolina. But I think we're a hidden gem, and I certainly invite people to come out and check out the Darlington Country Club.
Now, KT, real quick, did you say the Black Lake or the Black Lady Lake? Which one's on your course?
Oh, the Black Creek.
The Black Lady Creek. Got it.
Creek. Yeah,
well done.
It's a great creek, and I mean it's black. It is a creek that is certainly black, and you know, kids growing up in this neighborhood, and I think even Timmy, when he was growing up here in Darlington, used to swim in that creek. But it snakes right through the course and really gives it a lot of character. And there's some challenging holes that you have to take in consideration with that creek.
It's a lot of fun to play, and you really need to drive your golf ball well. And I think the greens are well done. I've just had a blast playing there in the past. It's been a few years, and are you open to the public? Or are you a private club?
We are, George, and I invite the public to come out to Darlington Country Club and check us out. It's a course. Let me tell you something, and it's a course that when you go out there, you're going to have a good time. First of all, you're going to be treated exceptionally well by the people in the office and the folks there at the course. But you're going to have a fun time. It's very scenic. Sometimes you would never think that you're in Darlington, South Carolina. It's got a little link feel to it. And what Timmy and his team have done here with it, I think have made it exceptionally challenging. And you mentioned a little while ago, it's kind of a tricky course to drive. And certainly I think, but the greens here right now, I think are some of the best greens around in this area. And so, again, I got to hats off to our greenskeeper, David Strickland, Phil, who's actually from Dillon, South Carolina.
No.
And I know you're from that county, over in Latta, but, David is, exceptionally went to Clemson, learned all the tricks and trades about keeping grass green and making it roll good. And we're lucky to have him here. So, but George, I want to invite you over here at some point. I know you're very, very busy there with your own project there at the course there that you guys have. And I played that course, and it's a beautiful course. But I invite you over here anytime you can make it. Let me know.
I will take you up on that invite. And
yes, sir.
And carry it. You also got an invite. Good friend Randolph Smith. I grew up with Randolph.
Oh, goodness. Randolph Smith. I know Randolph Smith. Yes, sir.
And this is what he says, and I'm going to use his words because he said make sure to tell him hello, and if he can get a quail invite if he gets his game in order.
Yes, sir. I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. That hits home pretty well there for sure, George.
Well, and I've been teasing Phil a little bit. Phil, you and I need to get our game in order so we can maybe get an invite.
George, here's what we need to do. You need to get Phil, and if you take Phil, then you need to bring a really, really good player with you, kind of compensate for Phil. But no, let me tell you something, George.
I have a personal invite from KT. I had a personal invite from Lou Holtz to play Augusta National. Okay, remember that?
When was that?
We were on the elevator. It was after a spring practice.
I'm sure it was.
It was after a spring practice in the old coach's office building, and we had the press conference in that little closet room downstairs.
I remember that because I would conduct those press conferences.
That's right. And he got on the elevator. The Masters was going on. I'm getting ready to walk out, and he goes, "Hey, Phil, you ever play the National? And I said, no, coach, I've never played Augusta. And he goes, okay, we'll have to get you on there. And you were nodding. You were behind him, and you were nodding like, yeah, he'll do that. Of course, I never heard another thing from
that.
it. Yeah.
What year was that? 2002, 2003,
Yeah,
Phil?
somewhere in there, about 20 years ago.
Waiting. Hey, Phil, you still waiting for the invitation,
I'm
right?
still waiting.
Oh, goodness.
I tell you what, it's something.
But I tell you what, though, seriously, guys, really, I mean this, George. We would love. I'll get a hold of you sooner than later, and we'll get Phil over here and whomever you want to bring, and we'll play over at Darlington and have lunch. And I really think you guys will enjoy it.
Well, there is absolutely no doubt, and I want to know. Talk a little bit about, and this is something I feel strongly. That what you all do in NASCAR, what some of the other sports, but specifically NASCAR, we've got the Live Tour going on, the PGA Tour. There's definite some disarray, but in the overall scope of golf, I want to know what some of your ideas are. What do we need to do in our game that is going to make it more appealing, bring more people in?
Right.
Bring them more to watching the game. What do you think about that, Kerry?
Sure. Well, that's a great question, George, because there's so much content out there for people and so many options, right? For them to either watch or consume on their mobile devices. I just think it needs to be entertaining, which I think for the most part it is. But I think you got to somehow tap into that younger audience. And,
Amen.
To me, that's kind of where it's going. I mean, I look at NASCAR, and I was in NASCAR for almost 20 years, and the NASCAR audience is not getting any younger. And so I got to hand it to NASCAR. They did a heck of a job the last 7, 8 years in doing things to try to attract to the young people, whether it be making the races more than just a race. And so, when you go to the racetrack, there's a lot more to do more than just watch the race now, right? And so I think that's part of it. I think that certainly personalities are part of it, and the more personalities you can have in your sport, I think you get more people to watch and that type of thing. And then again, I think it goes back to a lot of the social media applications that you can do in your sport. And, everybody, when you go to a sporting event now, George, and Phil knows this too, everybody's got one or two mobile devices in their hands. And you go to a ball game and, particularly when the game is either during a timeout or a lull, everybody's looking at their mobile device. And so you better have something up there on that device that talks about what you're trying to accomplish, whether that be in golf or NASCAR or college football or what have you. So, I think there's some things you can do, but it certainly is a lot different, certainly than it used to be. But I just think getting to appeal to the younger people and to the quick information that they're looking for is important.
Well, I just absolutely love to hear that. And if you take a look at the telecasts that are going on, I was trying to watch just now. It's just breaking my heart that I almost have to turn the volume off. Just let me watch and it's moving slow. It seems to be going slower. And I love what you said about, you got mobile device, got to pay attention. The younger folks, I don't think the folks in broadcasting for the PGA Tour, they're not kicking into that. They're not buying into that just yet.
Yeah, well, they need to for sure. And I think if you look at some of the other major sports, and I'll take NASCAR for example. That's my most recent, obviously, experience. They've done a heck of a job of doing they get inside the race car. They get inside the driver. They have monitors on the driver. How fast is that guy or gal's heart beating? They have so much data now that they provide the consumer that it makes it very, very interesting, even if you aren't a fan of the sport. And so I think golf needs to do that. There's so many things I think golf could do to make it, even more appealing. As far as just the humanness of the sport. I mean, golf is, and you know this better than me, George. Golf is a different breed. I mean, it's you and the ball and your club and the course, and there's no other entity with it. And in NASCAR, it's the driver and the machine. And so I just think that there's other things maybe that you can do from a broadcast standpoint to bring that at home to the folks that are watching.
Oh, no question. I love what you're saying. Phil, we're going to go over, and Patrick, we'll do it, or might have to get Randolph. I'm going to pick your brain about what you think and what you
bring any ringer you can to Charlotte, George. Seriously. And I think you won't be disappointed. And I want you guys to come over and enjoy our course. It's really, really come a long ways, and I think the best is yet to come, to be honest with you. I can't wait till this summer when it starts greening up. And this year we have the 60th annual Southern 500 tournament. I think it's one of the longest running amateur tournaments in the state, and it's going to take place August 23 through 25, and it's kind of the precursor for the the Southern 500 race here at Darlington Raceway. And so we're looking to have a big crowd for our golf tournament. We've got some folks that have played in that over the years that have really, really done exceptional on the amateur status here at that tournament. And so look forward to that, and obviously look forward to having you guys over here soon.
Looking forward.
That'll be fun. I got a question, Gary. This is a real simple one, but take your time. I want to know what you enjoy most about golf.
Okay. Well, it's certainly not my game.
19th hole.
But no, it's not that easy. No, come on, Phil, easy.
That was Pat.
You know what I enjoy
That
most?
wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was Pat.
No, that was me. That was me. That was me.
Who was that? Yeah, Patrick. What I enjoy most about golf, George, is the fellowship. If you're out there particularly here's the way I look at it. There's two different ways. You go out there with three other people. Most of the time you know who they are, and you spend 4 to 5 hours with them at a different level than you would if you were just either working with them or let's say just having any other type of social event. It's a lot more laid back. There's some competition involved, but I just enjoy that fellowship, that camaraderie. And then on the flip side, if you go out and play by yourself, if you go out and play 9 or 18 holes by yourself, it's so relaxing, at least most of the time it is, right? To just be out there and it's just you and the golf ball and the course. And to me, there's no other sport like that, right? And so I think there's two ways to look at it. You have the fellowship, which I truly love, and then you have the solitude sometimes that you need when you're just out there by yourself.
That's a beautiful answer, and it's after a lot of years in it, I keep asking the same question, and tied for first is the fellowship and the friends that you make, and you get a chance to know who you're playing with pretty well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Golf draws it out of you.
Hey George, can't you really tell about a person, especially maybe someone that you thought you knew but you don't know, how they play at the golf course? Let me tell you something. Steve Spurrier used to tell me, he said, Gary, you can really tell if a guy's honest or not when you play golf with him, right? So that's a true thing, you know. And so I think that you hit the nail on the head there.
Hey, well, what a privilege to have you on, and
fantastic.
I do look forward to taking you up. Look forward to taking you up on your invitation.
Well, hey George, listen to me. I'm going to get a hold of you And
Yeah.
we're going to
Guys-
make this happen. You guys are going to come over to Darlington.
We
I think-
got to go. We got to go. Thank you, guys.
We're going to make
Thank
it
you.
happen, Phil.
Thank
Don't
you.
make it happen.
Have a great weekend. See you Monday.
UXL Columbia W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour.